Hey, DD Perks members in Washington, D.C. Now that we're slowly getting back to running, make the most of your day with large hot coffees from Dunkin' for $1.49. Not a DD Perks member? Join on the Dunkin' app today for an easy, contactless way to order and pay. Pick up in-store or at the drive-thru. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
Hello and thanks for joining us once again on the ABR NASG series on COVID-19 and its implications on Nigeria's socio-economic outlook. Today, we'll be talking to the CEO of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, and the title of today's discussion will be Let's Not Let This Adversity Go to Waste. Joining us now is Mr. Laoye Jayola, the Chief Executive Officer of the NASG. Welcome, sir. Now, this global pandemic has defined 2020 and Nigeria is no exception. What is your opinion on the response so far and how do we overcome this crisis locally?
Well, no doubt you will say you can only respond based on what you have available. I try to tell people that before the COVID-19 pandemic, we had a problem. There are development challenges in Nigeria. So what this pandemic was just to open up our underbelly. So when you talk about how well government responded, they responded within the limits of what was available to them. We'll have had better coordination if we have had a framework that coordinated better. And maybe the impact on the responses will have been much more phenomenal than what we have. But it's gratifying to know that both the state governments and private sector, civil society, and everyone, and Nigerians, and then are all coming together to see what is it they can do. We've seen that spirit of bring your brother's keeper all around during this pandemic, and we hope that we will not let that spirit die only with a crisis period. That is something that we all will harness and use for the betterment of Nigeria. I have seen one thing during this period. Nobody's talked about A or B or C. It's about how can we ensure that this thing does not spread. And so it's something that is good and big. So it shows that we have what it takes internally to harness our resources to make it work. And what I would say we need to do is to make that much more coordinated effort so that we can stay beyond this pandemic. Like I did say, the problem preceded the pandemic. The problem is with us now, and will here remain with us unless we solve those underbelly problems that we had as a nation.
All right, Mr. Jayola. Now, the pandemic has critically exposed our infrastructure deficit, particularly when it comes to healthcare, welfare, and reliance on crude oil. How do we take this opportunity to learn and build our nation once and for all?
I'll tell you a couple of things that this pandemic actually exposed us to. It exposed our weakness in terms of insufficient coordination of activities. Everybody was doing their own. There was lack of trust, and therefore we didn't coordinate better. Private sector had money that they didn't feel like letting that money go to government because the feeling was, previously we've done this and no one gave account, right? You didn't see that seamless intervention between the states and the federal government. So we didn't handle it as a national issue. We handled it as private sector, state government, federal government. And so it revealed the absence of a generally coordinated, integrated approach to problem solving. The second, and for me, it's an infrastructural thing. It's because sometimes when we look at infrastructure, we look at it from hard, but it's soft infrastructure. Close to that is another soft infrastructure, which is absence of data and the use of data. You realize that even to share palliatives became a problem. We couldn't say who are the very, very vulnerables, where do they reside, which seats what's the number, and all of those things. So we didn't even manage that very well. And so we could be throwing money at a problem and may not be getting that good impact because You don't just have the right data. And which is why you find out when the argument between lockdown, non-lockdown, you have quite divide. Don't lock us down. If you don't allow us go out, if we're going to face coronavirus without, then hunger will finish us within. So absence of data was again part of it. It's what makes coordination poor, it's what makes decision making very poor, and it's what makes implementation even poorer. So you saw data as a major thing. But very close to that is that, of course, we talked about our health stock. It shows the fragility of our health stock, the absence of all of those things we needed. I mean, we had to start to ramp up our molecular labs after the pandemic started. We couldn't even do testing, although probably say it's not a peculiar problem to Nigeria, it's a worldwide problem. But the fact that Ghana could even have tested more than us was problematic. So it shows the absence of health stock. And this is an opportunity for us. And every time I have an opportunity, I want people to realize that it's no time to just solve COVID. It's to use COVID as an opportunity to correct those maladies we have with us. If we can spend all of this money and improve on our health stock and have better planning, and let, for instance, the National Center for Disease Control to manage, plan, and fund them appropriately, do the research, then we can do better. Close to that, which has become very, very instructive to us, is the fact that everybody got locked down, schools disrupted. A lot of private schools could go online and begin to do online study, but you saw that our public schools were left untouched. Now, it chose to poor infrastructure. Now, under normal circumstances, that shouldn't happen to Nigeria. We have sufficient broadband that we could have deployed all through Nigeria, and that will have had wonderful impact. And you'll see again the impact of it in creating new ecosystem. But why did you not have them? Even when those people want to deploy, we have rules around right of ways and what have you. And it shows that when everybody then sat at home and we needed to now put all the pressure on it, they began to fail. They were not giving up. So they say, you've seen now that they've been stretched significantly during this period. And it gives us an opportunity for us to deal with things around broadband. And close to that again is power. And I was trying to talk about that's a broadband. And you saw the fact that sometimes we are very behind. I listened to the argument between ASU and Co about, people can't teach, you can't do. Look, there is a new normal. Just before I started this discussion, I hear Oxford just announced that all their courses, not only this year, but next year, will be done online. The earlier our universities turn around to deal with it, the better. Otherwise, they will lose position to people who are now seeing the opportunity. Because an opportunity, as I said, business, as a businessman, is an opportunity to have a mega one. I mean, our schools just take 10% of people, of those that are qualified. And what happens to 90%? If somebody grabs that opportunity, it's a big opportunity. Make sure we can leverage on technology, we can teach our people, we can create a wonderful, real office experience. The question I ask myself, the governors have been meeting online. In those days, all of us would travel. We travel to Abuja. We travel to go and meet them. So why are they not traveling? Digital for everybody. So it shows that we can save tremendous cost. And we can make life a lot better and easier if you roll out on this. And you have infrastructural problem for moving power. An infrastructural problem around supply logistics moving. These things open doors, moving logistics. And most importantly, the fact that in the time of pandemic, when the whole world have problem, if you don't have anything locally to fall back on, you'll be in problem. China closed its door because they became the manufacturing hub for the world. Everybody suffered from it. Supply disruptions are still not going to get corrected almost immediately. This is time for all our companies to begin to look inside. NASG has always made the noise. In Summit 22, we spent a lot of time about making in Nigeria. How do we have a good import substitution policies that ensures that we can make things in Nigeria? There are fantastic young men and women that are very, very resourceful, but there is no patronizing them. And when you don't patronize them, when you don't make the environment for doing business a lot better, or we lose, we do not have a choice. We can turn this pandemic to an opportunity to turn this around. It will give job, it will enhance the quality of life, it will move people out of poverty, and it will make Nigeria safer and saner.
Moving on, what short-term, medium to long-term reforms do we need to stabilize and then grow the Nigerian economy sustainably?
Yeah, basically, there are a couple of things around it. First, it's important to know that all lands must be on there to create wealth. We are not doing that. We're spending cake that is reducing. Nigerian problem you can liken to, sadly enough, the problem around Lake Chad. When we saw Lake Chad drying up, and we watched it dry up to this side, and it became a problem all over the world. We didn't throw the money at it to make sure we can stop it from receding, but we spend much more than the money will have cost us to solve Chad problem now on wars and Boko Haram and whatever. What am I saying? We had all the dollars when the oil was good. We could have used that to the effective master plan for Nigeria about infrastructure and what have you. We haven't done that. But there's no shortcut. You see, you can't talk your way out of a problem. You need to walk your way out of it. So we have to do it. First and foremost, we need to look at our general environment about physical and monetary side. Both our physical and monetary policies still don't talk together enough. You see here both the central bank leading the monetary power and the fiscal side talking at different position. I think we need to realize that Nigeria is greater than any side of it you are. And if you're working, you must work in the interest of Nigeria, not in the interest of just limited people. That's the one. So I think if there is any time, this provides a time for us to look at physical space. When you have a gap, a huge gap like we have, because our revenues have gone down. Oil revenue, no matter what you do, is gone down significantly. If you make $1 billion plus this year, it's luck. So there are shortfalls. Because there are shortfalls, and we must spend our way out of it, we're going to find a way out. So all those policies that are inhibiting doing business in Nigeria, that will not make people to invest in Nigeria, for me, those are the quick wins we should sit down and address. We need to do that because it's a multi-faceted approach. People talk about things like we run multiple exchange rates. If you listen to the governor of central bank, we say no, we don't run it. But in the market, we all know we run it. Why can't we know one rate for Nigeria? We should clear that very, very quickly. We are forced with making sure that we have a currency, we will defend it, and suddenly something happens and we allow huge devaluation. Why don't you allow just reasonable move around that period? But more importantly, we need to look at revenue generation around all those areas and the quality of spend. I have been a firm person today now, after about June, I don't know how much the state government can get to pay salary. I have been a firm person on looking at there are ways we can cut down business. The pandemic knows that we can cut down. All the money we spend on travel, can be cut down significantly. Now, those are first things you do that are short things for us. We don't have a choice to go to borrow. Now, it's our choice to decide whether we want to borrow foreign or we borrow local. Because I will say sell our assets. But sometimes when the prices of things are down, if you sell your asset, you may not get value for your asset. So what I would really say is that if you can use that asset to borrow money in the short run and then get it back and sell at the right time, sell. But borrowing is what we need to do, domestically or outside. But after we have borrowed that money, there must be some transparency. There's so much opacity around how we conduct business in this country. And we need to correct it. People don't see clearly what the central bank does. I worked in central bank. I spent my life in central bank before I retire. By the law of central bank, by February, the auditor audits the account. By April, May, it is presented. I have not seen the published account of central bank in the last 2 to 3 years, 4 years. I haven't seen it. That in itself is opacity. NNPC account, nobody sees them. And if people must trust us, if people must see us, we must see account. What pains me is that these are the same regulators that are saying, as operators in market, show your account. In the banking sector, if you have not done everything by the 1st of April, you're dead. The CBN will sanction you. You must have held your AGM and done everything. So why isn't the regulator doing the same thing? It's about doing what I say you should do, but not what I do. So those habits, for me, if we can have a mental change in about the way we do business and how we react, our problem isn't resources. There are resources in Nigeria that will solve our problem. So we can come and do the plan. I'm involved in NESG as usual. I'll be involved in helping government and joining government. We are partners in doing what plans we do, what we do. But we need to change our attitude. It's now. It has shown to us that when push come to shove, we can't run out of Nigeria. They've shut their borders, so where will we run to? We can't run. This is the only nation we call our own. So what would the first thing I say do? Let us reorientate our attitude. That it's about Nigeria. We need openness. We need to make rules. We need to allow ourselves to be governed by rules and work by rules that we make. I hear part of the work we did about the fiscal policy roundtable. We hear that even governments deduct taxes from people's salary, agencies of government, and they don't remit. Lawlessness. So for me, that's the most important thing. Then we can talk about. So when you create the environment and people can see you, they can trust you, they can see your transparency, and then we remove all the subsidies that we are giving people who we chose. If you give subsidy and it's free for all, I don't have a problem. But when you are giving people for a team of people, you chose to give them waivers and subsidy, it's not fair. I can afford to go abroad and then buy anything. So I buy money at subsidized rate. But the Nigerian that cannot afford sitting in Israeli doesn't get it. No. Make it a level playing field for every Nigerian. Let us have equal opportunity. We don't have equal access to opportunity in Nigeria. And these are habitual things we can control. We need to correct those things. If we don't, like kingdom come, this problem will come, it will go. But if we do, we'll come out a stronger nation. You've noticed I've not talked about do all of those things, because what is it that we're going to talk about that has not been said? What do you think we're going to talk about doing light manufacturing at Pamiseh? When I was a young boy growing up, by the time I traveled from my village from Lagos to my village, there are many light manufacturing industries I see. But today, where are they? Even our warehouses have been turned to churches. It's about our attitude. So, short run, I'll tell you, change the attitude. When we change the attitude, and every Nigerian decide to abide by the law, and the law is, everybody suffer the same law, not one law for one for the other. And then people who are in authority understand that you are there to serve in the interest of the nation, in the interest of the people. And it's about doing what I do, not what I say. We'll fix infrastructure, we'll fix roads, we'll fix everything. I am a firm believer in this nation, Nigeria. It doesn't take us 10 years to turn around Nigeria. 5 years, all those people that look at us and deride us will want to come back here. But if we're not sincere with ourselves, if we pay different law for people and we hide under ethnicity, hide under religion and go, we ain't going to move forward. So it's not about policy. What I tell most people that work with you any age, sometimes in my spare time, I take what we have done from Summit 1 to date and I read and I say, wow, what else do we have to say?
Well, that's been another engaging and informative discussion. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Jayola. Well, this is part 4 of our series on the implications of COVID-19 on Nigeria's socio-economic outlook. We've been talking to the CEO of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, Mr. Laoye Jayola. Join us for another edition coming up shortly. It will be the final edition in this 5-part series, which is a collaboration between Africa Business Radio and the NESG. Thanks for joining us once again. I'm Bimbola Awoyele.
With the brand new iPhone SE for less than $100 at Metro, you rule. It's the most affordable iPhone ever on the #1 brand in prepaid. So whether you're studying online or FaceTiming.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, dear. The iPhone SE has all you need. Switch to Metro and get the iPhone SE for just $99.99 after rebate redemption and 6 months of service. Metro by T-Mobile. Rule your day. Limit 1 per account/household. Requires port and ID validation. Not valid for numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. Restrictions apply. See store for details.